Say, man, you got a joint?
You don't fucking believe this, do you?
I'm gonna ask you all to close your eyes.
What are we doing now? The chicken dance, baby.
Are you okay?
Is this true?
First off,
My advice, your poison. So, to any of us, whatever those things are, whatever it is we look up to, whatever it is we look forward to, and whoever it is we're chasing, to that I say amen. To that I say, all right, all right, all right.
It's usually hard to pinpoint exactly where transitions in someone's career happens, but not in this case. This is a clear-cut, black-and-white situation. There are only a few actors in Hollywood that were able to have such a massive transition in career moves from especially the genre of comedy to drama. It's like a gaming YouTuber in 2016 who suddenly became a vlogger. Pretty weird, isn't it? Adam Sandler only did it for a couple of movies here and there. Jonah Hill tried it to change his image from constantly being seen as the funny fat guy, but it's almost never been the case where an actor was able to completely shift their career, especially at their peak in a specific genre like who we are talking about today. And I think that is an interesting phenomenon. An actor went from being just about the biggest and highest paid leading man in generic romantic comedies throughout all of the 2000s to becoming one of the most prolific and highly respected performers in all of Hollywood, and eventually a best-selling author. This is the story of Matthew McConaughey. Matthew David McConaughey was born on the 4th of November, 1969 in Uvalde, Texas, with two older brothers, Rooster and Pat. He had a pretty standard Southern childhood, as standard as it can be when your parents get divorced twice throughout your childhood without you knowing. Yes, that really happened. Despite his claim to fame being acting, throughout all of his early life, Matthew McConaughey was set on becoming a lawyer. He even went to college to study law. But he didn't last, because right after college he decided to switch to film school. Maybe the best decision he ever made. Your best decision, on the other hand, would be to tap that like button. Do it. Come on, you know you want to. Anyway, McConaughey got his breakout role in Dazed and Confused, a role he got by chance when he went to a bar one night and accidentally met the casting director for the movie, who decided McConaughey might be a good fit for a very small role they had in this Richard Linklater movie. A role that would go on to have one of the most iconic phrases you could ever hear in the 90s. The famous,
All right.
Matthew's character was simple in that movie. It was around the high school parts. He was the little bit older graduate with the creepy mustache, on the hunt for a good buzz.
Say, man, you got a joint?
Yet the actor transformed that into a cult classic that to this day still might be the thing he's known for most. He went on to star in a few more projects throughout the 90s like Angels on the Outfield, which received mixed reviews, then with great performances that showed from early on the skill McConaughey has, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where he played the creepiest guy you could ever meet.
Are you having fun yet?
Oh, God.
And in the box office hit A Time to Kill, where he also played a decent lawyer in a reserved way as how you usually see lawyers portrayed in movies.
That little girl.
Starring alongside big names like Sandra Bullock and Samuel L. Jackson. But that wouldn't be the only time he ever played his aspiring craft in movies. More on that later. Now, I'm not going to talk about every single role this man has had. If I did, we would sit here all day, so I'm just going to fly through the insignificant ones. After starring in a couple of great projects throughout the late 90s like Steven Spielberg's Amistad, and again with Linklater and the Newton Boys, Matthew McConaughey basically got his start in the big decade of his life as a rom-com guy in EDTV, alongside Woody Harrelson. But it still wasn't the exact type of romantic comedy he would later on be known for. This was still a movie with a, dare I say, story, if you might. But along the road, he started his big decade in The Wedding Planner, alongside Jennifer Lopez. Reign of Fire was just about the last real, I'd say, well-thought-out movie McConaughey had starred in before really becoming known as the rom-com guy. And despite the movie not being favored by critics, I think McConaughey put on one of his best performances in his early career with that one.
It's etched in American history because the outlaw Dalton boys were killed there. Ordinary townsfolk rose up and took them down.
And it really shows when you hear him talking about preparing for the role of Denton Van Zandt. After that comes, well, you know what. Come on, do I even need to say it? After that came the infamous How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Yeah. That was a big one. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is, oh my god, such a long title for a movie, but it was also the big stepping stone for McConaughey in the 2000s. But I have to give them props. Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson had fantastic chemistry in that movie where they deceived each other into getting what they wanted.
You know what? You did your job, though, Andy. You wanted to lose a guy in 10 days. Congratulations.
and it's still one of my biggest guilty pleasure movies out there. McConaughey went on to star in more and more rom-coms after that, officially making himself known as that guy. Movies like Fool's Gold, Failure to Launch, and Ghost of Girlfriend's Past, big ones. Matthew McConaughey was loading up with cash, but obviously starting to get sick of the game. He wanted more challenging roles that show his actual talent and skill as an actor, but he wasn't getting any. He wasn't being taken seriously anymore. Matthew McConaughey was the funny hot guy, shirtless on the beach, and that's all he shall ever remain. Or so we thought. After many attempts at trying to get his career working, McConaughey was still being offered only comedy roles. So what did he do? He stopped accepting. He kept on getting only romantic comedy offers. More and more of them. Months passed, and he was still saying no. The offers started going up, and he was getting offered 5 mil, 7 mil, 10 mil, up to $15 million fucking dollars, and he was still saying no. $15 million! What the hell is wrong with this man? For almost 2 years. What happened then was irrelevancy. McConaughey became irrelevant, but that's when the talk actually started around him. Where has he been? Filmmakers started asking that question. And that's when, finally, after a 20-month hiatus, Matthew McConaughey started getting offers for roles he actually wanted. One of the biggest of which being The Lincoln Lawyer, another movie where he played a lawyer. See, we got back to it. On that later. This time being a lot better.
Hospital, not the morgue.
What? I'm gonna lie? The Lincoln Lawyer was, in my opinion, a much better movie than A Time to Kill. McConaughey really seemed ready in this one. The role worked more with his strength as the smart-ass, witty guy. It really was the movie that introduced us to a new version of Matthew McConaughey. A version we all seem to really love, I might add. And that's why McConaughey got offered other roles, like the detective in Bernie, working yet again with Richard Linklater. He also played a good villain part as Dallas in Soderbergh's Magic Mike, as well as a couple of other cool variety roles in The Paperboy and the weird-ass Killer Joe. Trust me, you have not seen Weird if you haven't watched this movie.
I got him, Joe!
And my personal favorite, Mud. In that movie, he puts on such a great, organic performance. It just felt so goddamn smooth.
Bullshit!
Come on, Ellis.
Every single thing you told me was a lie!
And the reason why he made this one work especially, well, was because he wanted to make it as a tribute to his late father. He said that it's the movie that he would enjoy the most. A little tearjerker for you there. By the way, all these movies happened within the span of less than 2 years in 2011 and 2012. Just to give you an idea of how ham our mans was going. In the early 2010s, Matthew McConaughey received funding along with the director he was working with for a small passion project he was really looking forward to making. That director was Jean-Marc Vallée, and the movie in question is the now Oscar winner Dallas Buyers Club, a movie about the true story of Ron Woodruff, an electrician playboy who was diagnosed with AIDS in the mid-1980s. Not a great time to be alive, and that he only has 30 days left to live. I don't want to spoil the rest of the movie for you, so you can watch it yourselves, but I'm gonna talk about McConaughey's performance a little. Matthew McConaughey pulled a Batman on everyone and lost 50 pounds for his role in Dallas Buyers Club. 50 fucking pounds! This man went from 188 down to the 135 in 5 months, stating that he survived on fish, some vegetables, and freaking tapioca pudding.
What were you eating? Honestly.
5 ounces of fish, cup of vegetables twice a day. Some pudding in the morning and as much red wine as I liked at night. But it was small amounts, and I gave myself 4 months to do it.
That's absolute hell, but it sure paid off. The freaky mustache returned, and the Texan put on one of the rawest performances you could ever experience. So chill and laid back, yet so angry and hurt. When a man knows he's about to die, he experiences life differently. And it's sure not as romantic as when someone asks, what would you do if you had 1 day or 1 week or heck, 1 month to live? This shit is rough, man. And that is sure shown in his performance.
Well, I'm the drug dealer. Now you're the fucking drug dealer.
See, the pharma companies pay the FDA to push their product.
I gotta sue the hospital to get my medicine?
Matthew McConaughey went on to get his first ever Oscar nomination for his role as Ron Woodruff, and he won.
And the Oscar goes to Matthew McConaughey.
Even when he was up against the likes of Leonardo DiCaprio, and Christian Bale, where he gave one of the most famous Oscar speeches you could ever hear.
There's a few things, about 3 things to my count, that I need each day. One of them is something to look up to, another is something to look forward to, and another is someone to chase.
And yes, I do think he deserved it. He went on to star in many more projects, great projects even, like True Detective, where he pulled a dark one on us, becoming all emo.
You get any sleep last night?
I don't sleep. I just dream.
In thinking, not looks. He also starred in Interstellar, which to date is one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't care what anyone says. But later on, his career definitely took a downturn, with a few insignificant movies like The Free State of Jones and Gold, where he definitely still gave it his all in his performance, but the popularity of the movies just wasn't that great anymore. But it's okay. He had a high moment in 2020 again when he starred in Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman, in what might be his most badass role yet.
So dry now, are they? You looking for your balls or a hole in the wall?
Netflix. Watch that movie. Now, thank you. And he also released his book, Green Lights, which I super recommend, by the way, especially as an audiobook. Come on, just Matthew McConaughey in your ear telling you his life story, which is really interesting, by the way, and he definitely proved himself as much more than just a pretty face. So cozy, I love it. Matthew McConaughey is the definition of if you want something changed in your life and or career, you can do it. Now let's hope he has a great rest of his life. There, all caught up. Now watch this video and subscribe.